Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to you. Just a quick one today. People keep asking me, how do I find out what my moon sign is? How do I find out what my rising sign is? So I'm going to drop those links in the description box below. This video is going to dip in the characteristics of whatever your moon is. So check out the timestamps below. Okay, it's an old book that I've dragged out that I had in the early 90s, and I wanted to cover the aspects of the moon signs from this book. It was by Sasha Fenton and Jonathan D. Came in a kit basically. You sort of had the book, a journal, a little chart and a little talisman, going back in the early 90s when I purchased this. You can still find it on the internet, but it's not expensive either, which is a good thing. There's very rare ones about now. I think she sort of overhauled the book and brought it out again in a paperback version, but I've got the original going back to the first editions. So check out the timestamps, and we're going to start with the wonderful Aries. So if your moon is in Aries, you are a quick thinker, talker and large scale planner, but you may need help with specific details. Lunar Arians are often starters rather than runners, so you may be happier as an executive rather than an ordinary worker. You may be a tough go-getter, but your confidence can evaporate quickly and you need the support and admiration of others. Women with this moon placement may value a career highly. You can be enthusiastic, headstrong and freedom-loving, unable to accept restrictions or unnecessary discipline. Your love life may be stormy, either because you are changeable and easily bored or because you are unwilling to compromise. However, you are probably honest and don't try to manipulate others. Moon in Aries people can be deft and dexterous, so your excellent coordination could make you successful at many sports. The moon is a watery planet, and when it is in a fire sign's emotions can be expressed quickly and easily. Moon Arians can therefore display a hot temper, although you usually cool down quickly and rarely sulk. It may be hard to get you to listen to others, as you tend to see everything from your own point of view, concentrating on your own emotional needs rather than those of others. One problem that seems to afflict those with the moon in Aries is that of having a domineering or difficult parent, and the years from adolescence to independence are often characterized by shouting matches. So yeah, so if you've got your moon in Aries, it's saying there towards the bottom that you could have had a difficult sort of childhood, adolescence, where there could have been a lot of arguments maybe as you were sort of growing up in that sort of hostile environment for some of you. And that obviously rubs off on us as we go into our own adulthood, which then puts a protective barrier around the Arians, okay? And then this is where you, because you've been in that sort of environment, it rubs off on you, and then you become the prickly pear, or you become, sort of be moody and what have you. So I always believe that our childhood does sort of play a massive part on when we grow up to be adults. And I say that because when I was growing up, and I'm a Scorpio, I'd always got to defend, because if I was sort of challenged by my parents, what are you doing that for? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing the other? And I'd always got to learn to defend and fight my corner. And that's a trait that I've brought into my sort of adulthood, especially in a work ethic. If I felt as though somebody was saying I wasn't doing something good enough, or I failed on something, or I hadn't completed something, then I'd got to be quick to defend why my actions. Oh, well, that's because, I thought it was this and this. But as I've got older, I've realised it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say, yeah, I did that. I'm sorry. I apologise. Okay. But yeah, it's one of those where I do feel, it has a massive impact on us our childhood does. So that is if your moon is in Aries. So now I'm going to move on. So we're now going to look at if you've got your moon in Taurus. So Taurus, what does it say for you? This is supposed to be the most stable and comfortable placement for the moon, but you may only be really content when your life is in perfect working order. Although you may be able to deal with practical problems very efficiently, when emotional problems come along, you can fall apart dramatically. Many moons in Taurus, people have a pleasant manner and are sociable, reliable and honest, needing a happy family life, a comfortable home and a good job. You would make a good parent and get on well with your family. You rarely lose contact with your children, even when they become adults. Lunar Taurians, who are loving, affectionate and romantic, can also be highly sexed. You may enter relationships with the best of intentions and only leave when there is no other resource. You might not have many close friends, and if so, you might not always be generous with time or money to those outside your own circle. If possessive, jealous and stubborn, you need stability and will try hard to uphold the status quo. You may have a formidable temper and become destructive when you feel threatened. You can be tough but fair in business and can have good luck financially, whether making money for yourself or working in an area where you handle large contracts worth a lot of money on behalf of others. Most moon in Taurus subjects love music, gardening, anything to do with nature and the outdoors and travelling. Okay, so if your moon is in Taurus, then as it says at the bottom, your subjects are you're a lover of music, okay, you don't mind gardening, anything to do with nature, being outside doors. I feel with Taurians as well, they don't like to feel restricted, okay, they would rather, if possible, be their own boss, okay, be in control. They've got this sort of controlling trait with a Taurian. So if your moon is in Taurus, guys, that is giving you sort of a heads up on some of your characteristics. Okay, so I'm going to move on, and we've got if your moon is in Gemini. So those with moon in Gemini, you probably have an active mind which may be academic, creative, imaginative or logical, depending upon other features in your birth chart. You may be dexterous and versatile and able to cope with most tasks around the home. You can work well under supervision as long as you respect your superiors. Lunar Geminis who need to feel free may avoid getting involved in personal relationships altogether. But if you do marry, you will probably need a practical but easygoing partner. You may enjoy mental pursuits such as reading books, playing games or using computers, or gentle sports such as snooker and golf. Lunar Geminis often work in large organisations that provide a service to the public, such as banking or the travel trade, journalism or teaching, and you are likely to have many friends and acquaintances whom you met through your work. Lunar Geminis can be excellent teachers and make good parents, but women need the stimulation of a job outside the home. Both sexes are good homemakers, but may find it's hard to relax as they are prone to worrying. You may become the planner and thinker for your family, and they may depend upon your fine logical mind. So yeah, I do feel Geminis in general, okay, like to be the focus, the centre point. They are very sort of happy-go-lucky as well, very jolly. But they can put a front on. Geminis can, so they can hide a lot as well. That is your sort of survival mechanism. So yeah, so that's some kind of in-depth there if your moon is in Gemini. So I am going to move on, my lovelies. I just hope that gives you a little bit of insight. So we then have if your moon is in Cancer. So moon in Cancer. As the moon is the ruler of the sign of Cancer, it is as its most comfortable in this sign as its intrinsic characteristics are heightened. Lunar Cancerians are often emotional, sensitive and moody. You can be imaginative and creative and appreciate music and the arts. Being naturally intuitive, you can be drawn to psychic or mystical matters, but can be equally at home in the world of business and finance. You can be emotionally demanding, requiring endless love and affection, often making your loved ones feel guilty for failing to meet your emotional demands. Sometimes you may even use emotional blackmail to get your own way. Not all lunar Cancerians are this difficult, however, and you can be very supportive when in a happy relationship. Lunar Cancerians tend to make good family members and excellent parents, and they are often drawn into teaching or take on a training role in their careers. Alternatively, they may work in one of the caring professions. You may be unwelcoming or suspicious of strangers, or simply shy and nervous. You can be shrewd in business matters, which, coupled with your intuition and capacity for hard work, helps to make you very successful. You may not like taking chances and need financial and emotional security, planning well for your old age. Your ideal holiday would be one where you can relax by the sea and take boat trips. Oh, so that's if your moon is in Cancer, okay? I feel Cancerians in general, their shell, their protective shell, they're very sort of homely. They don't like change too much either. They're sort of like their creature comforts. They like everything to be sort of in a routine as well. Cancers do. They're not sort of ones for change. So I hope that gives you a little insight if your moon is in Cancer. So we're going to move on from there. So we're doing now if your moon is in Leo. Moon in Leo. Moon in Leo subjects tend to have a sunny disposition and be friendly, welcoming and approachable. Rarely hostile or suspicious, you can be genuinely confident or simply able to put on a display of confidence when it is needed. Loyal, loving and idealistic people rarely leave a relationship unless it becomes absolutely necessary. If you find yourself alone, you may attach yourself to a new family or form one again fairly quickly. You are likely to be happiest in both personal and business relationships where partners and colleagues understand and admire you. Lunar Leos can put themselves, their partners or their children on a pedestal, expecting more than is possible from them. You can be excellent organisers who enjoy an ordinary life, but you also have a tendency to be bossy and arrogant, while at other times being helpless, especially when ill. You take on responsibility well and make a good leader. There are also likely to be times when you simply switch off and go through a period of relaxation and laziness. This is simply because you need to rest to stay healthy. You may feel that you are special in some way, have a lot of style and actually have some great talent or ability. You often fuss and worry about your appearance, especially your hair, which may be long and full like a lion's mane. That is some of the characteristics then if your moon is in Leo. And I do feel, as it says in here, sort of reading between the lines, Leos in general like to be, as in a lion likes to be within, I think it's a pride of lions. I'm sure they call it a pride of lions. So yeah, they like to be sort of having other supporting energies around them. They don't sort of feel happy if left too long in their own sort of space, okay? They'll cope, obviously they can survive. There's a lot of Leos out there who you know, live on their own and what have you, but they do need sort of that engagement somewhere along the line with keeping tabs on sort of a friend circle, work circle, that kind of an energy, my lovelies. So I'm now going to be reading for those who've got their moon in Virgo. Moon in Virgo, and that's me. I've got my moon in Virgo. You may be keenly intellectual, discriminating and capable of dealing with details. You can work hard at a project that interests you, but can also switch right off and become surprisingly lazy. The most important thing to bear in mind is that you can be emotionally contained. You might keep your emotions on such a tight leash that you never give yourself permission to express your real needs and feelings. If you don't find some form of emotional release, perhaps through group counselling, you could make yourself ill. Lunar Virgos can be embarrassed by displays of emotion by other people, but you can put on a wonderful display of tears and temper yourself when in the mood to do so. You can also express negative emotions through being far too critical towards your loved ones. Moon in Virgo folk are often interested in matters of health, hygiene, fitness, diet and alternative therapies. This might have been thrust upon you through some kind of long-term health problem or simply derives from a lifelong interest. Lunar Virgoans can be excellent cooks and homemakers and may hate to live in a dirty or messy environment. If you are an animal lover, you probably have a pet of some kind around the house. You work hard to provide the necessities of life for yourself and your family, but you may be too nervous, shy and sensitive to aim for a top job. In this case, your ideal job would be where you are appreciated by those above you and also useful to the world in general. If you are shrewd and clever and can make and keep money, you can also be a little stingy. Many Lunar Virgoans work in the health field or in anything to do with books and information technology. Now, some of that resonates with me and some of it doesn't, to be fair. I wouldn't call myself being stingy by any measures. In fact, I'm the opposite. I'm probably too generous. So obviously, again, with these sort of highlighted descriptions, take what resonates and leave what doesn't, because I wouldn't want to sort of, you know, have people think, well, I'm not this and I'm not that, because I'm definitely not stingy. I would not say I'm a stingy person, okay? So, and also there was another thing in there that I didn't sort of resonate with for me, but it all depends really where your birth chart lands, okay, on the astrology fields, because you could be sort of influenced a little bit by a neighbouring sign. If you don't find some form of emotional release, perhaps through, see, now group counselling to me, I would not, I should have been referred to group counselling going back a few years ago, and the thought of it, the thought of me sitting with other people, I just could not. It was causing me too much anxiety to even put myself into that situation. So in the end, I had to do sort of one-to-one therapy, which I found better. I may come across to people as being confident, not frightened to speak out and what have you, but deep down, I am, as it says here, I am quite shy. I am shy and I am quite sensitive, okay? So yeah, so that's if your moon is in Virgo, my lovelies. So we're going to move on. And now we're going to do if your moon is in Libra. So if you've got your moon in Libra, you can be charming, optimistic, outgoing and sociable. You may be a skilled and tactful diplomat who is popular at work and in all kinds of social settings. Lunar Librans can appear weak or soft, but you can also be ambitious, hardworking and determined, especially when you have a goal in sight. Those lunar Librans who don't like being alone for too long seek out company and need partnerships in business and personal life. You often have many friends and acquaintances. In earlier times, these people often married young, but nowadays they may try living with a series of partners until they find the right person to spend their lives with. You can be faithful when in a relationship, but may also be extremely flirtatious. You can be fussy about decor and colour schemes and could make an excellent architect, interior designer, or film set or software designer. Your diplomatic skills could take you into agency work, marketing, or any area that involves negotiating, where you can prove to be a surprisingly tough negotiator. Although happy and cheerful most of the time, you can be unpleasant, sarcastic, and downright nasty when someone really upsets you. You may be arrogant and can argue the hind leg off a donkey, never backing down from a fight. For all your fussiness, you can be untidy, especially when busy working. Many lunar Librans are musical or artistic. You may spend your life seeking perfection, either in the form of an ideal home or a perfect lover. And that sort of hits on some characteristics of Librans as well, as it describes that. So yeah, your moon is in Libra. Some of those characteristics might associate or with you. Okay, so we're going to move on. And if you have your moon in Scorpio, so if your moon in Scorpio, whenever the moon is in a water sign, the emotions are intense. And in Scorpio, they can be either well hidden or very close to the surface. If you are the inward looking type, you will take your feelings seriously. If you are let down in love, you can drive your friends and family crazy by continually harping on about your disappointment. Conversely, you might never mention your troubles but allow them to fester. Lunar Scorpios can be moody, secretive, and hard to understand. While you never forget a hurt, you can also be intensely loyal and loving to those who are good to you and won't readily forget favours or obligations. You hate to owe money and do not care for those who borrow from you and then fail to pay you back. Lunar Scorpios may do best when allied to a cheerful, capable and emotionally stable partner, but your vulnerability can lead you to select a sensitive or even chaotic mate. Although stubborn and inclined to stick with your choices, you can be driven to leave a relationship. However, many lunar Scorpios do learn from their mistakes and go on to make better choices in the future. Sex can be used or withdrawn as a weapon. Magnetic, determined and sometimes manipulative, you can be extremely fascinating. Your intense nature can be relieved by a terrific sense of humour, a wonderful sense of justice and a fondness for the underdog in any situation. Lunar Scorpios can be strangely sympathetic and they are often deeply loving. And it about sums it up really. Lunar Scorpios can be moody, secretive and hard to understand. Any Scorpio is hard to understand, guys. Okay. So yeah, so that's some kind of a little bit of an insight if your moon is in Scorpio. So we're moving on. And we're doing if your moon is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius. So, moon in Sag. A disproportionate number of people with the moon in Sagittarius work in the physical field, and many are excellent astrologers, dowsers, palmists, and just about anything else with an intuitive slant. It seems that the Sagittarian urge to explore takes an inward turn when the moon is in this sign, leading you to seek enlightenment at a deeper inner level. Superficially, lunar Sagittarians can be optimistic, outgoing and friendly. You may travel a great deal or may have strong connections with people from different cultures. Some lunar Sagittarians feel the need to contact as many people as they can during their lifetime. So this may lead you to choose jobs in such areas as broadcasting, teaching, or the travel trade. Astrology is a great way of meeting people, of course. Lunar Sagittarians who need personal freedom can find marriage or a permanent commitment too confining, but you can sustain friendships for years. You may be better at friendship than marriage, and if so, you probably manage to maintain friendly relationships with ex-partners and their extended families throughout your life. You are usually fond of animals, especially dogs and horses, and probably have a pet. You may find it hard to stick to a job, but if you can find one that is interesting and varied enough for your tastes, you will stay with it. You can be surprisingly ambitious and competitive, which may lead you into a sporting or competition-based lifestyle. So that's some characteristics there for my lovely Sagittarians. And I do feel Sagittarians have to keep active, they have to keep their mind active. They can get easily bored and frustrated as well. Okay, so we're moving on to if your moon is in Capricorn. So moon in Capricorn. Lunar Capricorns may be extremely shy and uncertain when it comes to making friends or enjoying any kind of social life. If you find someone to love and care for, you can overcome this, gain courage and confidence, and open up to others later on. You may choose an older partner who has the maturity you need and possibly one who will also mother or father you. Lunar Capricorns may do well in their career, taking work a little too seriously at times, but nevertheless often enjoying the success and financial rewards that it brings. Alternatively, you might never really get a proper career off the ground, preferring to stay in a menial job where there is no chance of failure. Fear and lack of confidence appear to be the main problems, but if they can be overcome, success is assured. In some cases, power and status can be viewed as a compensation for emotional emptiness. You probably have a good head for business, but you can spoil your chances of real success by being short-sighted. If you do well in business, then often you will become emotionally involved in your job and your life may lack balance as a result. You may be so attached to a parent that you never really let go of them, at best including your parent or parents in your own marital and family life. At worst, you may not leave the parental home at all, remaining single for much, if not all, of your life. Oh, that's a bit harsh. I'm sure there's quite a few Capricorns who are happy in relationships, but it's saying here that, you know, it's not uncommon for a lot of Capricorns to be happy in their own little home environment, looking after themselves, enjoying sort of the social scene outside, but then coming back in, closing the door and liking to be on their own in their own little world as well. So let's move on. And if you've got your moon in Aquarius, so moon in Aquarius. Many lunar Aquarians need independence in their marriages and careers. You cannot live under someone else's thumb or be dictated to by others. If you have to face a particularly difficult situation, you may prefer to do this on your own and without an audience. If you have to go into hospital, you won't allow anyone to visit until you look presentable again. You can be extremely imaginative, innovative and creative. You may have plenty of good ideas to pass on to others, and there is nothing you like better than to be asked for your advice. Under stress, you can become gossipy, aloof or sarcastic, and even unpredictable. You can be broad-minded, always up to date and keen to live life to the full. Lunar Aquarians can be quite tough to live with due to your extreme independence and self-contained attitude. You may be obstinate, awkward, argumentative and determined, and you are very keen on having your own way. You need a partner you can respect and rely upon, and in this case, the partner will need to be as strong and independent as you are. You are usually friendly and are never at a loss for company when you fancy it. Kind, loyal and steadfast, you are often quick to help an underdog or adopt a lame duck. You value education and will do all you can to ensure that your children have as good an education as possible. Travel appeals to you as you enjoy seeing new things and meeting a variety of people. So that gives sort of a little bit of an insight if your moon is in Aquarius, and some of those sort of highlighting there is about Aquarian sort of aspects in general as well. So we're moving on to if your moon is in the lovely Pisces. So, moon in Pisces. This placement can bring about an unusual lifestyle. Those lunar Pisceans who are mystical, psychic and extremely sensitive can be moody and prone to terrible depression from time to time. This moon placement suggests vulnerability and shyness, but this may often be covered up well in later life. The continual presence of other people can upset you and disturb the delicate balance of your psyche or aura. You may act as a psychic sponge, picking up the moods and vibrations of those who come into contact with, so a little time alone will be needed in order to clear the aura of unwanted vibrations. In some cases, low self-esteem and apathy can prevent you from achieving anything, but if you have a strong, supportive, practical, sensible and loving partner, you can blossom. If loved and cared for, you offer love, devotion and faithfulness on a level that few others can provide. Sympathetic and caring, romantic and loving, you may be too soft and delicate to cope with the rough and tumble of daily life. However, you also have a tensile inner strength and feeling of psychic protection that comes to your aid in times of crisis. You may have a magical gift for helping those who are troubled, timid, retiring and possibly suffering from poor health. You may achieve more, show more courage and cope with more than all the other moon signs put together, as long as you keep away from the twin demons of drink and drugs. So yeah, some of you could be tended to be drawn to that, okay, the drink and drugs aspect. And I do know a couple of Pisceans who have gone through that in their earlier lives, okay, and obviously have beat the demons on that. But yeah, that was a very key sort of aspect there that highlighted to the Pisceans that I've known in my sort of lifetime. So that sort of gives you a little bit of a heads up there if your moon is in Pisces. So that was about you, Pisces. And then in this book, just to finish off, guys, we do have the sort of positive traits and the negative traits of your star signs. So in Aries, your positive traits are spontaneous, direct, energetic, open, assertive and original. And your negative traits are impetuous, rude, frenzied, tactless, pushy and reckless. Okay, I'm not going to say all those negative traits are sort of going to be highlighted for you, but I'm just going with what they've said in the characteristics in this book. The moon in Taurus, your positive traits are consistent, patient, affectionate, sensuous, practical, determined, and your negative traits are habit ruled, slow reacting, demanding, lustful, unimaginative and narrow-minded. Now I know some Taurians and I would never have said they were unimaginative, okay, because my brother's a Taurian and he's an artist and you have to have an imaginative mind to be an artist. So like I say, you can take some of these and then you can poo-poo some of the others. Moon in Gemini, then we've got positive traits of light-hearted, we've got witty, fast-moving, versatile, conversational and charming. And your negative traits are superficial, chatterbox, restless, shallow, gossipy and insincere. If you're the moon in Cancer, then it's positive traits of protective, sympathetic, dependable, introspective, emotional and sensitive. And your negative traits are possessive, touchy, one-sided, withdrawn, needy and moody. Moon in Leo, then we've got positive traits of impressive, noble, dramatic, proud, dignified and confident. Your negative traits are demanding, snobbish, overbearing, conceited, vain and arrogant. Again, I know Leos and I can't say that, you know, they have all of those negative traits. The moon in Virgo, we've got positive traits of analytic, conscientious, shrewd, discriminating, neat and respectable. And your negative traits, Virgo, some of them on here is pedantic, anxiety prone, cold, prejudiced, Neurotic and prudish. Now, I know some Virgos and I would definitely say they are not prudish. Okay. Right, the moon in Libra. Positive traits are romantic, graceful, refined, friendly, relaxed and reasonable. Their negative traits, however, are silly, superficial, shallow, flirtatious, lazy and indecisive. The moon in Scorpio, positive traits are intuitive, passionate, independent, complex, determined and shrewd. And your negative traits, Scorpio, are suspicious, jealous, lonely, manipulative, obsessive and underhanded. Okay. The moon in Sag, positive traits are, philosophical, fun-loving, wise, generous, outspoken and trusting. Negative traits are unrealistic, irresponsible, pompous, foolish, tactless, naive. The moon in Capricorn, your positive traits are self-controlled, modest, cautious, hardworking, prudent, ambitious, and your negative traits are repressed, self-doubting, distrustful, wage slave, boring and ruthless. Okay. Wage slave, that's funny. The moon in Aquarius, positive traits, broad-minded, reforming, cool, progressive, original and unbiased. And your negative, Aquarius, is indiscriminate, rebellious, cold, unpredictable, eccentric and impersonal. And the moon in Pisces, positive traits, imaginative, mystical, empathic, gentle, caring and compassionate. And negative traits are escapist, deceptive, impressionable, weak, a martyr and hypersensitive. Okay, so I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight of moon signs. I hope to sort of try and do something on your rising signs as well, so look out for that in the next couple of weeks. But like I say, when you're sort of looking at my readings on this channel, then when I say check your moon signs and your rising signs, because you could have your moon sign sort of acting more in your chart that week, so it resonates with you a little bit more, and same with your rising signs. So I hope that's been informative. So until next time, you take care. Bye then.